My girlfriend said, "I need a break to figure out what I really want." I said, "Take all the time you need." A week later, she blocked me and started posting quotes about healing while staying at her ex's place. I stayed silent. 2 months later, she unblocked me just in time to see my photos, holding hands with someone else on the streets of Paris. Her messages started flooding in the moment she realized who it was. The end came on a Tuesday night. Not with a bang, but with the quiet, condescending click of a closing door. My girlfriend of 3 years, Jennifer, sat me down on the couch and gave me the speech. I could tell she'd been rehearsing it in her car on the way home from work. She had that same look of intense, manufactured sincerity she got when she was about to return a gift I'd bought her. "I just feel like I'm in a weird place right now," she started, her voice soft and patronizing. "I need a break, just some time to myself to figure out what I really want." I didn't say anything. I just watched her. For months I'd felt a growing distance between us, a kind of structural rot that you can't see but you can feel in the floorboards. The late-night texts she'd hide, the sudden weekend plans with friends I'd never met, the way she'd talk about her ex, Alex, with a nostalgic fondness that was starting to sound a lot like a current event. She kept talking, hitting all the classic lines. She felt lost. She needed to find herself. She wasn't sure if she was ready for the next step. It was a beautifully crafted, completely hollow performance designed to put me on the back burner without officially turning off the stove. She wanted a hall pass, not a breakup. When she was done, I asked the only question that mattered. "What does a break look like, Jennifer?" "It just means we're not together for a little while," she said, her voice dripping with faux maturity. "We're free to see other people if we want, but we're not over. We're just on pause." There it was, the confirmation. She had him lined up, her ex Alex. This whole speech was just the logistical prelude to her rekindling that old flame while keeping me in her back pocket as a safety net. She wasn't ending a relationship. She was securing a backup plan. Most guys, I think, would have gotten angry. They would have yelled, demanded to know who the other guy was. But I was just done. The exhaustion hit me like a physical blow. The exhaustion of constantly feeling like I was being managed, of walking on eggshells, of knowing deep down that I was more of a convenience than a partner. So I just nodded. "Okay," I said, my voice calm. "Take all the time you need." The relief that flooded her face was so absolute it was almost insulting. She'd done it. She had her freedom, with no consequences. "Oh, thank you for being so understanding," she said, her voice suddenly light and cheerful. "I knew you'd be mature about this." "Of course," I said. "So, where will you be staying during this journey of self-discovery?" Her smile faltered. "What do you mean? I'll be staying here, obviously." "No," I said, standing up from the couch, the decision now as solid and unmovable as concrete. "You won't. A break means we are not together, which means we do not live together. This is my apartment. My name is on the lease. You, as of this moment, are no longer my girlfriend, which means you are just a guest whose visa has just expired. I'll be changing the locks tomorrow. I suggest you start packing." The look of pure, uncomprehending shock on her face was the first real, honest emotion she had shown me all night. She had thought she was putting me on pause. She had no idea she had just pressed the eject button on her entire comfortable life. Update 1. The night that followed was a symphony of her disbelief. After I told her to pack, she just stared at me for a full minute, her brain rebooting. Then came the frantic, escalating stages of a narcissist realizing they've lost control. First came the scoffing. "You're not serious. You're just being emotional because I was honest with you." Then the anger. "You can't kick me out. I have rights. I live here." Then the pleading. "Okay, fine. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I don't need a break. Let's just forget I said anything." I didn't engage. I just went to the hall closet, pulled out a stack of empty moving boxes I had from my last move, and started placing them in the middle of the living room. It was a quiet, definitive statement. She spent the night on the couch, after a failed attempt to get me to let her into our bedroom. The next morning I left for work early. As I walked out, I told her she had until the end of the day to get her things, because a locksmith was scheduled for 5 o'clock. Her response was to escalate the war to the only battlefield where she felt powerful: social media. By the time I got to my office, my phone was buzzing. She had blocked me on everything. Then, she began her public performance. Her Instagram, once a testament to our happy life, became a shrine to her newfound victimhood. The first post was a black and white selfie of her looking teary-eyed, with a caption that was a masterpiece of passive-aggressive fiction. Sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same, choosing myself even when it hurts. Her friends, a loyal chorus of enablers, flooded the comments. So brave, babe. His loss. You're glowing. Freedom looks good on you. We never liked him anyway. Onwards and upwards. The narrative was set. I was the villain, the emotionally stunted man-child who couldn't handle her journey of self-love. I was the one who had ended things, not her. But I had an inside source. Her best friend, a woman named Kate, was also, secretly, my friend. Kate was different from the rest of their group. She was quiet, observant, and had a core of decency that made her a strange fit in their coven of mean girls. She and I had bonded over a shared love of old movies and a mutual, unspoken exasperation with Jennifer's constant drama. Kate texted me that afternoon. She's telling everyone you had a psychotic break and threw her out for no reason, just so you know. I figured as much, I replied. Where is she now? She's at Alex's place, Kate wrote. She went straight there from your apartment. She's acting like she just won the lottery. Of course she was. The break was just a poorly disguised transfer of assets. I stayed silent. I didn't defend myself. I didn't reach out to mutual friends to tell my side of the story. I just let her build her narrative, knowing that the higher she built her tower of lies, the more satisfying it would be to watch it fall. While she was playing the part of the tragic heroine online, I was quietly and methodically erasing her from my life. I packed the rest of her belongings, every last trinket and piece of clothing, and put them in a storage unit I rented in her name. I sent her the key and the bill in the mail. I canceled her supplementary credit card. I changed my number. And then about a month into her grand performance of healing, an opportunity landed in my lap. A major project my construction company was managing in Paris had hit a series of critical failures. The lead project manager had quit, and they needed someone to go over, take control, and save the entire multi-million-dollar venture from collapsing. It was a 3-month high-pressure assignment. My boss offered it to me as a challenge. I saw it as an escape, a new city, a new problem to solve, a clean break from the wreckage of my old life. I said yes immediately. But I had an idea. A quiet, wicked little idea that began to form in the back of my mind. Kate had been talking for years about wanting to take a trip to Paris. She was an art history major in college, and it was her dream to see the Louvre, the Musée d'Orsay, all of it. But she'd never had the money or the time. I called her. I told her about the assignment. I told her my company was putting me up in a large 2-bedroom apartment in the heart of the city. I told her the second bedroom was empty. And I told her that if she could find a way to get to Paris, she had a place to stay for as long as she wanted. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I could hear the gears turning in her head. What about Jennifer? She finally asked, her voice barely a whisper. This has nothing to do with Jennifer, I said, which was only a half lie. This is about you and a dream you've had for years. It's a big, empty apartment, Kate. I could use the company. She told me she would think about it. The next day, she called me back. Her voice was full of a newfound nervous excitement. I bought a plane ticket, she said. And just like that, without even trying, I had poached the star witness of Jennifer's little passion play. The game had just gotten a whole lot more interesting. Update 2. The 2 months I spent in Paris with Kate were like waking up from a long, feverish dream. Away from the constant, low-grade hum of Jennifer's drama, I felt like myself for the first time in years. The work was brutal, but it was honest. I was fixing something real, something tangible, a problem I could solve with logic and hard work. And Kate? She was a revelation. We were 2 survivors of the same emotional shipwreck. And in the quiet streets of a foreign city, we found a lifeboat. We spent our weekends wandering through museums, getting lost in the winding streets of Montmartre, and talking for hours in small, crowded bistros. She told me everything. She told me how exhausting it was being Jennifer's best friend, a role that was less about friendship and more about being an unpaid assistant, a therapist, and a perpetual audience member. She told me Jennifer had been seeing her ex Alex for months before our breakup, and that the break was a carefully orchestrated plan to transition from my financial support to his, without a single day of being on her own. She told me Jennifer had been mocking me to their friends for years, calling me her starter boyfriend, her safe but boring option. In return, I told her about the quiet, creeping loneliness of my relationship with Jennifer, the feeling of being a provider but not a partner. We weren't just two people falling in love, we were two co-conspirators, finally comparing notes and realizing the true extent of the deception we had both been subjected to. We fell in love slowly and then all at once. It wasn't a rebound, it was a recognition. It was finding a person who spoke the same language, who valued the same things, who saw the world not as a stage but as a project to be built together. As our time in Paris was drawing to a close, with the project back on track and our return date looming, I knew it was time. Jennifer, according to the occasional screenshot Kate would still get from her other friends, was not having the glamorous, liberated life she had planned. Her relationship with Alex had imploded after about a month when he realized she expected him to fund the same lifestyle I had provided, a lifestyle he was neither willing nor able to support. She was now living on her parents' couch, her healing journey, having stalled out in a dead end of unemployment and boredom. She had, I knew, been expecting me to crawl back. In her mind, her break was a test of my devotion, and she was just waiting for me to fail it by begging for her return. Her silence on my social media was, to her, a sign that I was heartbroken and waiting. It was time to give her a sign. I reactivated my long-dormant Instagram account. I posted a single photograph. It was a picture I had taken just a few days before, a candid shot of me and Kate, holding hands and laughing as we crossed the Pont d'Arc, the famous Lovelock Bridge. The late afternoon sun was catching the golden stone of the buildings behind us. It was a perfect picture, a picture of pure, unadulterated happiness. The caption was simple: sometimes you have to cross an ocean to find what was right in front of you all along. Then I did the final, most important step. I unblocked Jennifer. I wanted to make sure she saw it. I wanted her to see it first. Final update. The first message arrived on my phone precisely 4 minutes after I unblocked her. It was a single, all-caps word, a digital shriek of disbelief. What? Then came the deluge. It was a tidal wave of pure, uncut narcissistic rage, a frantic, desperate attempt to reclaim a narrative that was no longer hers. Who is that? Where are you? What is this? Is that Kate? My best friend? My sister? You're in Paris with my sister? After what you did to me? Are you insane? You were supposed to be waiting for me. This was a break. You betrayed me. You both betrayed me. The hypocrisy was so breathtaking, it was almost beautiful. She, the woman who had left me to be with her ex, was accusing me of betrayal. She, the woman who had treated her supposed best friend like a glorified servant, was now invoking the sacred bonds of friendship. She tried to turn everyone against us. She called her parents, screaming that I had groomed and stolen their other daughter, that Kate was a backstabbing traitor. But it didn't work. Kate had already called them. She had told them everything. She had told them about Jennifer's affair, about her lies, about the years of emotional abuse she had endured as Jennifer's best friend. For the first time, her parents were hearing the unvarnished truth, not from me, but from their own daughter. And they were horrified. Jennifer's last-ditch effort was to try and destroy my career. She sent a long, rambling email to my company's HR department, a work of pure fiction that painted me as an unstable predator who had used a company trip to lure a vulnerable young woman to Paris. But I was prepared. I had already given my boss a full professional debriefing of the situation before I even left for Paris. He knew I was on a break. He knew the nature of my relationship with Jennifer. And more importantly, he knew that the Paris project, which had been on the verge of catastrophic failure, was now ahead of schedule and under budget, a massive career-defining success for me. He forwarded her email to our legal department, who sent her a polite but terrifying cease and desist letter. In the end, she had nothing. She had played her hand and she had lost in the most spectacular way possible. She had taken a break to find what she really wanted, and in the process, she had lost everything: her boyfriend, her best friend, the respect of her parents, and her entire social circle. It's been a year now. Kate and I are living together in a new house we bought on the other side of town. We are getting married in the spring, a small, quiet affair with just our closest friends and family. Her parents are ecstatic. They adore me. They see me as the man who not only saved their daughter from a life of quiet subservience, but who also finally, permanently solved their Jennifer problem. Jennifer, from what I've heard, is still living at home. She's working some dead-end retail job. Her social media is a ghost town. She is, by all accounts, completely and utterly alone.